It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Fall ball is happening. Starts this weekend. Don't miss it. If you did, it's okay. Grab some t-shirts, put, write whatever name you want on the front. You could do it even magic marker. Nobody cares. It's all right. Just as long as you got a shirt with a name and a number on the back. Let's go play some fall ball. Enjoy, everybody. Keep working to get better. That's what it's all about in the fall. Get some extra swings. Take and work on some things maybe that you've taken from the season that you didn't like about what you were doing. That's what fall ball is. Game 7 gives you a great spot to take advantage of some of those opportunities all the way through the end of October. Check it out. Go to Game7Baseball.com. You know what? Do me a favor. Tell Dave and Dave that Brian over at Youth Baseball Midwest sent you. All right. I don't know if that helps any, but, I appreciate it. On the show today, I've got with me, joining me on the Prime Sports call link is Mr. Head Coach. That works too. Dave Wiggins. What's going on, Dave?
Not much. How are you? Been a little bit.
Doing well, man. Doing well. Summer ended. We live streamed 80 baseball games through the summer.
That's awesome.
So I mean, I feel it. Over 2,500 miles traveled through the state. So, a lot of fun and not to mention, just other stuff. So, had a good time being around it. I'm hoping that's, just the beginning. We've got some cool things coming up. I think we're going to, again, reach into that well and keep growing and keep doing and keep banging away, right?
Awesome. Sounds great.
We'll have to get over to Webster Groves. Can we maneuver the production trailer in there somehow, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. We can make that happen. We can make that work.
How was your freshman camp? Did it go well?
Yeah, it went well. We like to bring our freshmen in and kind of have them work out with the incoming sophomores just to get a feel for some of the other guys in the program and some guys that they'll, undoubtedly be with in their 4 years. It's a hungry group. They're excited. They're ready to rock and roll. Just gotta see what we have there. We've got a lot of them playing fall ball. So we'll get a pretty good idea of what that looks like. But they seem to be a good group. They seem to gel well together, and just got to get them assimilated to how we play ball and go from there.
Did you have any of your kids playing on those teams? I think Baldwin has started to do this. St. Peter's done it. The school putting the kids that are all going to school together, playing that end of season tournament. Did you have any teams doing that?
Yeah, we had a 6th grade team, a 7th grade team, and an 8th grade team. So the 8th grade team is incoming freshmen. So the incoming freshmen had a team. They played well. The incoming 8th graders won it for the 2nd straight year. Pretty proud of that group. That's a class that we're really looking forward to coming in. May lose one or two to private schools, but we've got I would say anywhere from 11 to 14 of those guys playing good competitive baseball and have been for a while. So we're really excited about that group. And I mean, we're a Class 5 school, and they've taken down a bunch of Class 6 teams in that middle school classic 2 years in a row. They went undefeated this year, so that was really cool. Kirkwood actually gave them their best game. Go figure. And then the incoming seventh graders, they played really well. Also, I think they lost in the semifinal. But yeah, everyone in Webster is excited about Webster Groves baseball. These middle school ages are excited about getting to the high school and playing Webster Groves baseball. And we could be 2 or 3 years away from another state run if all things go well. So we're excited. We're ready to get it.
It's funny because, setting expectations, every year everybody wants to go, hey, we can compete, we can do. But reality, if you get a group and they get determined, things happen and fall in your way, some kids play a little better than maybe they should, you never know what can happen, right? But realistically, you're always looking. I don't think people realize, that process, because as we talk about with public schools, you get the kids that enroll.
True. Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah, and we
go ahead.
yeah, we're fortunate enough with this eighth grade class that's coming in next year that a good number of them have just been challenging themselves and playing really good competitive baseball since they're 10, 11 years old, and hopefully that yields to a successful high school career. So
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think that's the interesting part. Today, folks, I got Dave on here. He's the head coach at Webster. He does a lot of work in the summer with RBC. Very, very familiar with the baseball scene. And, you being a coach, this is fifth year, correct? Going into your fifth year at Webster?
um, I believe it'll be my fifth year on the field, but I got the gig in August of 2019, right before the COVID season. So the COVID season, obviously, we didn't get to coach. So what is that? 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Oh no, I'm
Is
going into
this
my
six?
sixth year. Yep,
Okay.
flies by.
Whew. No kidding. And I was talking to Dave. I brought him on because, excuse me, I started looking around the state because the first one that popped, I knew Coach Justin Towle retired over at Rockbridge. And Mike D'Amelia took the job at Missouri Valley College, and that was Blair Oaks. That's Rockbridge. I know Mason Horn, stepped away. Scott Brown's back over at CBC. Eric Goff retired. So and it got me to thinking, these are some serious programs. I want to take a look at these coaches and stepping in and what who these guys are a little bit. We're going to try and talk a little bit more because I know there's more out there, and I've reached out to some folks to try and get some names. But these are some of the names that are really, you talk about CBC, Blair Oaks, Rockbridge, Fort Zumwalt West. These are four programs that have been at the forefront of baseball in the state for quite some time, right?
Yeah, yeah, without question. It's going to be interesting to see how those roles are filled. And I mean, obviously, you have and at CBC, Scott Brown's he's done it before. He's done it there. He's done it at Vianney. He's no stranger to the MCC baseball. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they run their programs, how they, what they take from their predecessors and what they embrace, what they change. Me personally, I came in and I met with all the 2B seniors of that fall when I got the job, and essentially just asked them, about the previous regime and how they ran things, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted to see remain the same, what they wanted to see change. And I just kind of tried to leave it up to them to kind of help shape what we were going to do that year because they'd been through it for 3 years and I was new. So I wasn't going to be the one coming in and just kind of ruling with an iron fist right away. I wanted them to buy into me and my staff, and I wanted them to understand that we're there for them and we're not there to just to be dictators, and for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting scenario. As a coach, I'm sure some of the guys knew who you were, probably some didn't.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's a difficult thing when you walk into a program. Now, on the one side, I don't mean no disrespect, but Webster Groves hadn't had a lot of success up to that point, correct?
Oh, true. Yeah. I mean, we were not in the same conversation as baseball. No, baseball powers, baseball success. Yeah, we weren't there. It's always kind of been it was football when I was in high school. It was basketball, obviously, and now it's mostly basketball. And baseball gets a little bit of a nudge here there. It's soccer. Soccer's super successful. But yeah, no, baseball was kind of an afterthought at the high school and or in our community, and
Mhm.
that's kind of what we wanted to come in and change.
Now, right off the get, I think this one is one of the more interesting situations here with Mason Horn, Coach Horn stepping aside. Here, Brown takes over. He's won 553 games as a head coach. It's so right there, I think he's won some state championships. He hasn't. He last coached at CBC in 2010, but here you have this guy Scott Brown who's been successful. What do you think, what do you think he has to do here? What is that situation? I mean we're speculating and whatnot, but here this is one of the more comfortable scenarios, I think, with a coach coming into a situation where he's familiar with all the people and kids know this guy knows how to coach.
Yeah, and he's also the national coach of the year. It was either 2016 or 2019, I believe. Um, Obviously he's been involved in that program for the last couple of years as well as their pitching coach. I think it was an easy transition. I think it made Coach Horn feel pretty confident and comfortable stepping away, knowing that Brown was going to take the reins. I think that was more of a mutual decision there. And Horn's son is a senior in high school, and he wants to be able to watch his kid without the stress of having to coach his kid, and I can understand that. Um, yeah, I mean, you have a guy who's not coming in fresh, who doesn't know anybody on staff, who doesn't know anybody on the personnel wise on the team. You have someone who knows the kids, who knows the staff, who knows the inner workings of CBC and how they work. Being a former coach there, assuming the players, liked him while he was an assistant, I think he's gonna be fine. I've talked to some players; they seem to hold him in high regard, and they know the caliber of coach he is. And I think he also understands that he's stepping into a situation where, obviously, when you're coaching at CBC, like you've got to win now. They want to see you win. Coach Horn won his first year, won state his first year as head coach, and they haven't been, they haven't won it since. So it's one of those deals where there's going to be pressure, I'm sure, from the school and from parents and everyone to be that successful CBC baseball program that everybody expects. Um, I think there's a lot of question marks on the mound this year for them. I don't quite know what they have pitching wise. I know they have some really good athletic position players. But obviously it's CBC. They're going to replenish every year. They're going to reload. It'll just be interesting to see how he manages that, and if he keeps things kind of running the way they have been, or if he comes in and changes some things. I guess only time will tell.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. As you said, he's been the assistant coach there. So there's a lot of familiarity. I think this is probably the easiest transition for a group of this whole scenario. Blair Oaks is one that I think is interesting. Um, Head coach Mike D'Amelia has been there. He's won a state championship. A lot of success uh, with that. In fact, I think it was yeah. In fact, they won two state championships, 3 state title appearances, 4 district crowns, and 6 winning seasons. He won 153 games while there at Blair Oaks. He's off to Missouri Valley, which I think that's cool. He'd coached college before. He's back as a head coach at an NAIA school right there. I think that's fantastic. You got a coach right there in Missouri, staying in Missouri. I think that strengthens the overall scope of Missouri college baseball. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, he knows the kids in the community and surrounding. I don't feel like it's too easy for NAIA schools to recruit kids out of high school. You know, they use they use junior college a lot. They use the portal. Maybe this can help him land some high school kids that, as the landscape changes, they're starting to realize, man, I'm a Division II caliber player, but if I go to Maryville, I'm going to sit the bench the first year. If I go to Missouri Southern, I'm not going to play. Maybe Missouri Valley could be my avenue to get on the field. I went to NAIA out of high school, and I didn't have a chance of playing there. I didn't realize that until I got there and saw what they have and just how elite you've got to be to get on the field at some of those schools. And those, look at Missouri Baptist year after year. They're so competitive. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does, how he uses his connections around the area to kind of help on the recruiting end and maybe even on the fundraising end, getting, nicer facilities, building that up, making that a destination for kids in the area. Blair Oaks, Springfield area. Is that
Central? It's it's just south of Jeff City.
okay? Okay, yeah. So maybe that can start to become a destination for some of those kids that live in those areas and that might not have considered NAIA. Yeah, it's a really good baseball. It's really good baseball, even though it's not NCAA. I got there and we had a pitcher drafted in the 7th round the year before I got to Culver Stockton. I get there and half the teams from Puerto Rico, Mexico, California, Florida, and here I am, this little Midwest white kid, and it was different, man. It was different. Like go watch Missouri Baptist play some baseball sometime if you have a chance. It's high level ball, and they got draft picks every year. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what he does with that. And clearly, he wanted that job, so I'm sure he has a bunch of good plans for it. I don't know anything about the gentleman who's taking over at Blair Oaks, but I assume you do.
We know only what we've read. His name is Chris Elbright, or excuse me, Ebright. Chris Ebright. He's coming over from, I think it was Ebright coached at Lincoln University. He also Helias High School, Kentucky Wesleyan College, and Central Methodist University. So he's got a lot of connections that way. He was at Lincoln University where he helped restart the baseball program. He brings more than 17 years of coaching experience, including 7 years as a head coach, 4 at his alma mater, Saginaw Valley State. So this guy's got some coaching credentials.
He was the head coach at Saginaw Valley.
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Wow. Yeah, there you go. You lose, you don't lose, but a great coach leaves, and it looks like a great coach steps in. Which I'm sure when Blair Oaks was going through the hiring process, they were pretty selective with who they were going to put in charge of that program. Yeah, I watched Saginaw Valley play Maryville last spring. So when you said Saginaw Valley, I was like, okay, all right, I've seen
Some
them play.
familiar. And, that's the interesting thing. We talk a lot about, but high school baseball and what you're talking, coaches and their paths, different paths to where they're at. He was at Lincoln University as assistant. He was at Saginaw Valley State. Now he's coming to Blair Oaks, a tremendous program. Here's a guy coming in from college, whatnot. What are some of the things that I think this is an interesting transition here.
I agree. Obviously, the parental aspect. You've got to be a great communicator with parents as a high school head coach.
Yeah.
At the collegiate level, you don't quite have to be. It's more you and the player that you recruited. You don't really have to listen to mom and dad or what they want, or build a relationship with them. But I've found throughout the years that some of my best relationships with my players are because I've developed a strong one with the parents, and we developed trust there. So I think that's one. Obviously, um, there's no recruiting if you're the coach at Blair Oaks because it's a public high school. So you don't really have to worry about that. Um, but yeah, those are just two completely different landscapes where, I found quickly at the high school level, it's not just about win right now. It's about build a program, develop a winning culture. Whereas, at the collegiate level, especially the way things are, it's, can you help me win right now? And that's just not the way it is in high school at all. So yeah, there will be some changes for him, I'm sure, but I'm sure he's considered all of that before he, interviewed and took that job. Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. I'm sure the people at Blair Oaks are pretty fired up to have him step in and take the reins. And it could be. I'm sure they were upset, not upset, but sad to see D'Amelia go. But
Yeah.
knowing that you have a former collegiate head coach stepping in and taking the gig is that's got to make you feel pretty good about the future for sure.
And, and I'll tell you, it's like you said, I think it's interesting hires now. You see this guy with a lot of college experience. Are athletic directors in high schools looking at these things? Because, you've got this little small, I think it's Wardville, right? I think it was, Drew, where Blair Oaks is. I think that's the name of the town. Small town south of Jeff City, pulls a lot of kids. There's a private Catholic school right up the road. Helias Catholic, you got Father Tolton and all that. You're dealing with a lot of the same thing. Are ADs having to look at who they bring in as a head coach in a public school to make sure kids are not making the decision to go to some of these private schools?
I'm sure they are. I mean, I have conversations with our athletic director, and we talk openly about, yeah, we want the kids that live in Webster to go to Webster Groves High School. We want facilities, and we want programs that are attractive to those kids who have the means and have the desire to go private, but might be swayed to stay public if we can provide the same as a Vianney, a Chaminade, or a CVC could. Yeah, and obviously that comes with staff as well, because usually when you hear about hires at these private schools, they're well known. They have strong resumes, and I think, I don't know for sure because I'm not an AD, but I would assume that athletic directors are considering that, like, hey, we want to make sure that we're getting the best and brightest in our community coming to our public schools. So we need to make sure we're, for lack of a better term, keeping up with the Joneses, from public to private.
I think that, and that's an interesting conversation. It just, and honestly, when I'm sitting here looking at this, that popped in my head. I'm like, I hadn't thought of that thought process before. Then you got to look at the academic side of it. Where's your school academically? Can you provide some of these opportunities? Because these preparatory schools, that's their thought process. You go to some of these schools and that's the next thing and the next thing. So I think it's very telling when you see that kind of resume coming to a high school program,
For
and
sure.
here's D'Amelia going to college, back into the
Yeah,
college ranks. So kudos to Blair Oaks. It'll be interesting.
it
Um,
will.
yeah. Here's another one. Rockbridge, head coach Justin Tao stepping down, retiring. Had a conversation. We're gonna have him on the show. We're gonna have him on Baseball 101 with Sissel, talking about his career a little bit, and his thoughts on that. But it's fun talking to Coach Tao. I've gotten to know him just a little bit here toward the end of his career. Now he's retired, so there you go. That's what's interesting too, a little bit. Some of these guys, I'm just now getting relationships. Now I got to go meet a new guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, but some of these guys been around a long time, coaching a long time. You start looking at I had the handbook from the clinic and
Yeah,
listing of the coaches that have been coaching for 30 years or more.
it's
There's a lot of,
impressive. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
right?
it's
I
uh, without a doubt. And I mean, especially being a public school coach, there could be years where you really just almost feel beat down. Like I don't know how much longer I could do this. And it takes belief in your program and your staff, and takes tenacity, and it just it's a lot. And obviously, yeah, we're underpaid, whatever, but we don't do it for the money. We're not doing it for the money. We're doing it because we love being on the field. We love imparting our knowledge of the game to these young kids. And we, high school coaches, we get to really build a culture and a community, as opposed to a summer coach who just gets the kids, for a winter and a summer. And like, it's just a whole different environment that, you start to kind of crave, like, man, I can't wait for the spring to start, to where we can be our baseball community again. And we can, take another shot at this, this end goal of becoming a state champion. And I think that's what brings you back every year. It's just that hunger to try it with a new group, to try it with a to try it with a group that you tried it with the year before. Like, it's, yeah, 30 years. That's impressive.
It is, man. You look at this, and I think that's that's some of the things that I hear from a lot of these guys. The wins and losses, they come and they go, but the kids and the opportunity to impart that, to build those relationships, to develop those young men, I think that's exactly it, and that's why they coach where they coach.
Without
Um,
a doubt.
I'm sure there's a lot of them maybe had aspirations to go further at some point in time, but this is where they ended up. That's where they fell in love with it, and I think that's cool. I do.
Too.
So, um, now I know Coach Tao said this name, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna butcher it. It's Jeff Bazat, or Bazat, Bazat.
Okay.
He is taking over the program. He was a guy there. Athletic director decided to announce Jeff Bazat as new head coach of Rockbridge baseball program. Coach Bazat brings a wealth of experience serving the past 20 years on the Rockbridge baseball coaching staff. That is something right
Wow.
there that is impressive. As an assistant coach, 20 years. This is a guy, and talk about promoting from within, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a guy who not only knows the school and the administration, he knows the kids, he knows the parents, he knows how things are run, he understands the facilities and what they offer. Um, it's just usually it's an easier hire for the program if you have someone you trust, who's been an assistant for that long, who can take the reins. Clearly, after being an assistant for 20 years, this guy's ready to he's ready to take over. I'm sure he's excited and fired up to be at the helm of a very good program year after year. I mean, you're stepping in, and you're getting one of the best in the state every year when it comes to just the pedigree of the facilities and the talent, and just the overall program, and what Coach Tao has built. And I'm sure he and Tao have had plenty of conversations about how to keep it going. But when you've been doing it for 20 years, you probably almost feel like you're an associate head coach by that point anyway. Um, I'm sure he's fairly confident he can keep things rolling.
Well, and here again, congratulations, Coach Tao. 18 seasons, over 400 wins. He's got a state championship there. Bazat was part of that state championship. Here's a guy that, he was on that 2014 team. And I think that goes a long way. Didn't you play at Webster Groves, Dave, if I'm not mistaken?
I did. I graduated in 2004 from Webster Groves.
There
Yep.
you go. I think those are things that, these guys, they bring it back. It is about the community. And that's one of the things we've talked about here at Youth Baseball Midwest. One of the things that I noticed, I'm a transplant to the St. Charles, St. Louis metro area. And that was always one of the first things that I was at. So where'd you go to high school? Not here. Because I moved here in 2003. And my kids now, they went through all the school through here and whatnot. But I always found that interesting. That was really the community part of it, that portion. Um, and you saw that throughout. And a lot of these guys coming back into the community like yourselves, being part of that program, being part of the programs. I think that's huge here. This young man not only winning a state championship, but being part of that program for the last 20 years. Now, his opportunity to, continue to at his alma mater.
Yeah, I have 7 coaches on staff, and 5 of us are alums. It's we have alums come back every year to help coach our younger teams, to help coach our help our freshmen when they're back on break. It's I personally think that's just how you build a really good program culture. Is you bring the players in that loved playing there, that want to see the program continue to have success and earn more and more success, and are excited about what they did while they were there and what they can do as a coach to help. Um, we have an alum who's one of the coaches at UMSL. It's cool that we have kids who are wanting to pursue coaching careers once they graduate college. So I love it. The more alums, the better, as long as they can further our program goals and expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. So kudos to Rockbridge. I love this, keeping it in the family, and they had a good season last year. They went down to Blue Springs South, who won the state championship last year, so kudos there. Looking forward to meeting these coaches, Ebright, Bassett, if I'm saying that correctly. I hope I am. I probably am not. That's terrible. Of course, right here locally, Matt Sissom, who you have some familiarity with, right?
Yeah, I personally think this is the easiest transition. Matt knows the program in and out. Matt's been a coach in the program for a long time. He took a step away for a year or two, and ended up helping me coach Nolan and some of a lot of Nolan's friends in the summer. Um, Matt's well respected, highly respected by the parents, the community, the players. He's a dad taking over, but his son is literally one of the best players in the state. So it's not like his name's getting written on the lineup card because daddy's the coach, and everybody knows that. There's zero pressure from Matt in that regard. And I know Matt's just, he's over the moon, thrilled with how golf has built that program and what that program has done. I know he just wants to keep it going. They have high expectations this year, being Nolan and Brendan's senior year, and Wolf's junior year. Like they've got some really good players on that team, and I know Matt understands what he's stepping into, and their goal is a state championship, and Matt he's focused on that. His eyes are on the prize. They wanted it bad for Coach Goff last year. I know it. I know it. But no, Matt's a great baseball guy. He's a great communicator. I'm a huge fan of Matt and how he coaches, and just Matt as a person, more so than a coach. So I think it's a great hire. I fully endorse it.
Yeah, there you go. And and that one was for me, it was tough. Coach Goff was one of the first head coaches that really we started building. It was Coach Perkins, Coach Goff, with Youth Baseball Midwest, had been familiar with the program and whatnot, and that was tough last year, man. I was sad to see him go. I'm happy for him. He's moving on and whatnot. But Coach Goff, he was a lot of fun to watch. That program, he did a lot of great things with that program, a lot of success. And I would say he's had talent. Don't get me wrong. People like, oh yeah, yes, he has. But maybe not as much as some of the others. He's always been able to pull talent out of kids, and just that will to play at another level. And so I think, I don't know Matt as well. I'm looking forward to getting to know him, bringing him on the show. I said, that's what I told him. I said, Matt, now you got to step in. You got to get on the set, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, You're taking over the head coaching duties, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in regards to Coach Golf, I feel like every year after Deverman graduated, like we would be on the show. Oh, Zumwalt West, who's going to pitch? They don't have any pitching, blah blah blah. And every year, like he finds a way. The arms develop the way that they just get on the mound, they pound the strike zone, they use the defense. He finds a way, and I guarantee that's what Matt's going to do. They've got some young talent in that program that
Yeah.
not a lot of people are aware of yet. Matt's son Brendan is a freshman, so he'll be it'll be cool for Matt to get to coach Brendan all the way up through, similar to how he did with Nolan. But yeah, there'll be a fun program to follow, and everyone will miss Coach Goff, but Matt's going to step into his shoes real nicely.
Yeah, congratulations to Matt. I'm looking forward to it. Really a pleasure. Going to get to know him. So here we go. Now, here's one way down. This one is out of, and I'm going to talk with Coach McGee because when we get him on the show, he's going to know more about this. But all the way down in Joplin, at Joplin High School, there's a new hire. Chase Kilgore is taking over that program. Joplin made a big time run in Class 6 last year.
Remember, they were my pick. I took them. I was fighting for Joplin. Didn't turn out the way I wanted, but I felt like they had the Dub G, the Dub G 24 magic. So I was pulling for them.
And they announced that he's taken over for Kyle Wolf after 8 seasons at Joplin High School. Now, Kilgore, he was at Lamar High School. So I don't know who's taken over at Lamar yet. I'm going to find out. But Lamar, and most people won't know this because I think they're Class 3. Lamar's 2 or 3, Class 2 or 3. I'd have to go and look. But they're one of the better programs in those lower classes. They win a lot. Lamar's been very successful. So this guy comes with a pedigree. He also was at DeSoto High School. Coached at DeSoto.
Oh, okay. What years did he coach at DeSoto?
Let me see. It didn't say there. That's right. No, it didn't say. That's as much information as I got right there. So, but I thought that was interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing more about this young man. I don't know. Everybody's young to me at this point, Dave. I don't know. But, Lamar, good program. DeSoto, they play some good baseball. The Dragons, one of the better mascot names, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And, he's serving. So he's taking over for Kyle Wolf. Joplin, on the upswing, had a good run. They had some seniors. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, and we're looking forward to getting to know more about Coach Kilgore. But Joplin making some news there as well. I wanted to bring that up. I know. And then right here, the GAC, Justin Rogers leaving the post at Troy Buchanan to take the athletic director's position at Wright City High School, and Joel Crotto taking over the head coaching position at Troy Buchanan. This one is interesting because Troy, they're one of those teams. I don't know if you guys have played them. I know you're familiar. You know what the program is, and it's had some history. I know they're always there with football. Baseball, it's been up and down. They've had some really good talent. They've made runs. But Crotto's coming over from Community R6. And he's had a lot of success up there. And he was hired there in 2018. Let me see
Is that
here.
the name of the high school?
Yeah.
R6.
Community R6.
Where's that located?
I believe that is north of here. Drew's going to find out.
Okay.
But he graduated from Lindenwood University, held coaching jobs, was searching for his first head coaching teaching position once he graduated. Where? Ladonia. Still don't know. Doesn't help you. Where's that?
Middle East.
Is it in the Middle East? No, the Middle West. 10, 15 miles east of Mexico, Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. Yeah, I got you. All right.
And,
Interesting.
so he's taken over. His wife
I
works in
think
the right.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I think he coached one of Matt Meyer's clubs. I would see PSA Crotto. So I think he was a premier PBA PSA guy.
Okay.
The last name looks familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, So yeah, his wife works at the Winfield High School. That's his alma mater. Um, he said Wright City is about an hour away from R6. So, and he was 30 minutes away from Troy Buchanan. But Crowder said it is possible they'll move even closer. I don't blame him. Yeah,
It
this,
looks like he lives in Wright City.
huh?
It looks like he lives in Wright City.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it looks like. Corrado played for and held a job at Winfield and also coached at Holt in Wentzville as well. So he's had quite the move around the state. He's been involved in a lot of different programs. And honestly, at R6, he had a lot of success. The worst season the Trojans they had under Corrado was his first season in 2019. He was 7-9. Which followed a 1-14 season. So he's had success at R6.
So they play like games in the teens. So that'll be
Mhm.
it for him going to Troy. They're going to play 30 plus games.
Yeah. Yeah, because R6 was class 1. And it
Wow.
was
But he'll still be a Trojan. Look at that.
There you go. It was his 6th straight season of advancing to at least the district semifinals and the 4th straight winning season, and is also the coach that took them to their 2nd state Final Four in 2023. So he's had success. Awesome. And man, Dave, you look at this coaching at class 1 level. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. I mean, obviously, you have no depth. You have zero depth.
You might have 100 guys to choose from, period, right?
You might only have a varsity team for all we know. And the teams you're playing are probably mostly class 1 and 2, so you're not necessarily playing teams that are deep, but at the same time, I'm sure you got to be really creative with your lineup construction and how you're building the program. And you go from that to a class 6 school in Troy, like you got to be feeling like, all right, baby, let's go. I get to cut some kids. Okay. I'm just kidding. I hate cutting kids. At the same time, like there's more pressure. There's way more pressure at the class 6 level than there is at the class 1 level, especially in the conference that Troy's in. You're talking, you got to go up against some heavy hitters. So it'll be a very different change for him culture-wise, which I'm sure he's excited about and ready to accept that challenge. That'll be a fun one to follow for sure.
Yeah, he's probably, as you said, he's probably feeling a little bit like a kid in a candy store. I get all these pieces.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I get this nice turf field that everybody in the GAC wants to come play at. This is awesome.
Lights.
Yeah. Like, how Central and me. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and then you get Francis Howell Central, Fort Zumwalt West.
Yeah. Like, okay. Yeah, it's I think it's awesome. And
yeah,
I would want nothing more if I was coaching at that low of a class school to move up and coach at a larger class and accept that challenge. I mean, I know there are challenges with coaching class 1, don't get me wrong, but just accept the new challenges of being at a larger school, running a bigger program, competing against some of the best programs in the state. he's got to be fired up to have that opportunity.
Yeah, we'll definitely be getting to know Coach Crotto with our GAC coaches previews. That's one of our big ones here, and Troy's always been a big part of that. I know with Coach Rogers. Congratulations to Coach Rogers heading up to be the AD there at Wright City. I know that's where he was headed. So good luck to him. And each one of these is a very interesting look at high school coaching, right? And the different paths and the differences. It's such an interesting dynamic, and getting to know these people, Dave. It's a little different than I think what people think about high school coaching, isn't it?
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're just regular guys. We do it for the kids. We do it because we love baseball. Like there's literally no place I'd rather be than on the baseball field coaching. That's why I do everything I can to be on a field as often as I can. My wife doesn't quite love that, but she knows who she married. Hopefully soon I can bring Brooks with me to a lot of this stuff and give her some relief with only having one kid at home. But yeah, I mean, we are. It's interesting because you find as a head coach sometimes people are afraid to approach you directly. They go to your assistants. They think you may take something out on their kid if they come to you. And I just have a message for everyone. Like, we are in this for your children. We want your kids to have a good experience. We're open. I am. I don't know about others. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to having conversations. If there's issues, like, I would rather you come to me directly, as I am the head coach and I make the final decision. I just find that a lot of frustration and anger can be avoided if direct conversations are had with head coaches and directors of programs instead of the middleman. And I think it is just for a fear that coach is going to take it out on your kid, or you don't know how that coach is going to handle it, or he has so much power in your eyes. We don't have any power. We're just here to coach your kids. We're here to help make your kids love baseball more. And we ultimately want what's best for them. And yeah, we have a whole program to think about, but we want this to be a fun, interactive experience for your kids for 4 years. We don't want them to feel like, this is a chore, or this is something that they're being forced to do. We want them to enjoy their time, and we want you to enjoy being a parent in our program and feel like you're one of us, not just kind of on the outside looking in. So
I will make one caveat to that. Parents, I love what Dave said, and that's exactly, but please, he's got an email. Your coach has an email. He has a phone number. Call, make an appointment. Don't come up after the game, start hollering. Please, just don't do that. Take a deep breath. And I love what Coach said right there. That's perfect. Exactly. And I believe most coaches are like that, but just do it the right way. And
yeah,
just go.
I will say, in my 5 years at Webster, I haven't had one single parent approach me after a game. Like,
That's
the
awesome.
parents at Webster are fantastic. They're great. We'll get email, call here and there, but they really do respect the coach player relationship. They want their kids to have a voice, and they want their kids to kind of advocate for themselves. So I mean, and I'm sure there's lots of other programs out there that have parents like that, but we've got it pretty easy at Webster. I better knock on some wood.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we just thought, I wanted to see this. We saw this. We'll talk some more about this. We'll bring Dave back in and talk. We're going to look around. We're in the off season. We're just starting, but already you're seeing a lot of moves, and it starts with the head coach. So these programs and what we're doing, we're heading into the 2026. To me, the 2026 season started on September 2nd.
Sure did.
For high school.
It starts this weekend for my 13U team. So yeah.
There you go. And so we're going to start watching, following up on these things. Hope to get some of these coaches. We get to know them and bring them into bring them on the show, chat it up, see what they're doing with the programs. Dave, as always, man, appreciate you dropping the knowledge, brother.
Happy to be here. Love being a part of what you guys do. It's awesome.
Folks, that's head coach Webster Groves, Dave Wiggins. If you're, and also RBC Club, you can go check those guys out. If you're down and around that area, you're looking for a place to play some ball, go check out RBC. Oh, that's a shameless plug right there.
I didn't say a word.
He didn't say a word either. Hey, and we get no kickbacks or nothing, folks. Nothing.
My shirt right now, Brian.
There you go. I'm a equal opportunity promoter of all the clubs or whatever club. I even saw some of his high school kids playing American Legion baseball with the enemy this year.
Yeah. We don't have a Webster Legion team, so they got to play for Kirkwood. That's all good.
It's all good. And they had a lot of success. There you go. Got to the state championship final game. There you go.
That's awesome. I love it.
Absolutely. So equal opportunity, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you like it, please subscribe. Hit that dinger. We got some cool stuff coming up. Don't want to miss out. Thanks for tuning in. As always, everybody have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers. Dave, give it to them.
Let's throw strikes.
Keep it simple. I like it. Hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see y'all next time.